Today we're talking about the minor league grind compared to the major leagues and how the minor leagues is so much different and so much more difficult to get through the minor leagues to the major leagues. And I'm going to give you a ton of examples. Now, I've made some videos about this in the past, but I have gotten a ton of questions because those videos were really long ago. I made those like 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. So I wanted to update that and make some new videos since I've been asked so much recently about it. So the first thing that stands out about the minor leagues is the lower salaries. And I want to start off with this. I was drafted in the first round. I got a really large signing bonus. Very few players get drafted in the first round or the first couple of rounds. Way more players that I played with signed for nothing. They got plane flights to the field, and that was it. So they got drafted out of California, and they got a plane flight to whatever organization they went to. They went to short season Eugene, Oregon. They got a plane flight to Oregon. That's what they got. They got no money. So many players that I played with came from Venezuela or Colombia or Dominican Republic, and they got $1,000 or they got no money. They literally just got a plane flight. And so people hear all the time about the players getting millions of dollars. In my experience in the minor leagues, there's a few guys that get that, but the majority of the players don't get anything. So please keep that in mind. And when you play in the minor leagues, if you didn't get a big signing bonus, you're not going to make really any money in the minors. Now, they have upped minor league salaries. They've actually improved a lot of these conditions that I had to deal with coming up as a minor leaguer. And it's about time. I always said it makes no sense that we're going to draft players and sign players and try to get them to the major leagues, because if you can get a player from the minor leagues to become a major league starter, that is a huge savings in money for you that you didn't have to go out and get a free agent, but you were able to develop a player under contract, which is not, if you only have to pay them league minimum, that saves your organization so much money versus having to go out and get a $5 million player to play on your bench. And if that developed player becomes a stud, well, that might save you $100 million. Instead of having to go out in the open market and pay $100 million for a stud, you've got this stud for almost nothing, making league minimum. So I never understood, why are we not putting as much money into these players in the minor leagues as possible? Why are we not giving them the best living conditions, the best food possible, the best travel that we could possibly give them so they can get sleep and they can recover and rest their bodies so they can perform their best and improve their skills to get to the big leagues and help the big league team? I never understood that when I think back to when I played. Now, they are getting better at that. They have improved salaries. They still don't get paid very much at all, but salaries have improved. When I played my first year, I made like $1,100 a month, $1,100 or $1,200. It was one of those two. And you only get paid for the months that you're playing, and you don't get paid in spring training. So you wouldn't get paid until April. So the season was April, May, June, July, and August for the minor league. That's 5 months. And you get paid like $1,200 a month when you're first drafted. So you're making like $6,000 for the year. And we had to pay back then to live. So we had to pay for an apartment. We used to jam like 50 guys in the same apartment. Not really 50, but we'd have like 4, 6 players in the same apartment. We had like blow up mattresses all over the place and have like 4 players to a room. When I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, I don't even remember how many players we had in our apartment. I think we had like 8 players in that apartment, and it was like the size of my basement. So it's crazy the living conditions before. Now, again, now teams are finally realizing, okay, let's try to provide housing for some of these players. That doesn't happen everywhere, but if you're playing in a league where the team spring training complex is, there are more teams that are putting up housing to house players. Super smart idea. But there's still players that have to find apartments. And that's what we had to do. We had 2 options. You stay in an apartment, which you had to pay for. So again, you had a $6,000 salary, and now you had to get an apartment. Good luck with that. Sometimes they would have a hotel where they give you a little bit of a discount, but most of your money went to the hotel. And then there were some host families. So when I was in high A, single A, we had a host family. And the host family, it was just a family that you would live with. My host family was the best. Not everyone's is the best, but I was able to live with a family. So you can see how quickly your money goes. You get no money. You have to pay to live. You have to pay your dues. So you have to pay each day, depending on the level, it was like $13 a day or so. And you'd get like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at most levels. When you finally got to double A and then triple A, you'd get some decent meals. But before then, even in single A, it was peanut butter and jelly, baby. And then they'd also wash your uniforms for you. So you'd give them like, I don't know, $13 a day or so, and then you'd give them a little bit of a tip on top of that as well. So for most players, you're making absolutely no money whatsoever. And the crazy part is a lot of the players that I played with, and I became friends with a lot of players that were from Latin America, they would send any extra money that they had. So they'd have an extra $300 at the end of the month. They would send that money home because they had families back in the Dominican or in Venezuela or wherever. They'd send the money back home. So I don't even know how they live. And I've told so many stories. I'll tell you one story. Players used to get yelled at all the time because in our hotel rooms, a lot of the Latin players, they would use the tubs to make like these ovens, and they would cook food in the tub. I don't even know how they did it, but they turned their tub into an oven and they would cook because it was too expensive to go out and eat. And so they would buy a bunch of food. They'd get like chicken and they'd get some rice or something, and they would cook in the bathtubs in the hotels, and a bunch of players would come over and eat just to save money. Like those are the type of conditions that used to exist back when I played. And I finished playing in 2013. That was the last season. So we're not talking about like 50 years ago. We're talking like 10 years ago. Okay, now another thing is the bus rides. Bus rides, horrific. And we'll talk about flights in a minute. But most teams take buses until about AAA. Double A, you're still busing. AAA is where I flew a lot, which was actually, I think I might rather bus. But let's talk about buses first. The bus, I remember this, the first time that I ever got on a bus in Eugene, I got on the bus. If you guys have ever watched the movie Major League, you know the bus they travel in? That was our bus. I remember the bus pulled up. And the weird thing is when you play in college, like the buses are pretty nice. They're pretty nice. You go to the minor leagues, that bus pulled up. I'm like, what the hell is this? I literally was like, this is the Major League bus. Got on the bus, no air conditioning. Air conditioning didn't work. It's okay though. It was only like 110 degrees and you're in a bus with 35 people, maybe actually probably more than that. So no air conditioning, absolutely horrible. Bus rides, typically our first bus ride was to Idaho. Bus rides were 8, 10, 12 hours long. You've got, I had Casey Smith. Sorry, Casey, but Casey's not a small person, all right? So like I was 6'1", 210 pounds probably at the time. Casey, I don't know how big he is. He's a lot bigger than me. But like you got me and Casey, we call him the bear because he wasn't small. And like we're like right next to each other. So I'm like, I'm riding my 10 hours to Idaho and I'm like this the whole trip. So those are the type of trips you're doing. You're doing it every 4 days pretty much. You're traveling to a new place. Our first time going to Vancouver, Canada, which was another super long trip, our bus broke down. We spent the whole night on the side of the road. Literally, no one could come fix the bus till the morning. So I think we spent from 11 o'clock to like 6 or 7 a.m. sitting on a bus on the side of the road. They finally fixed it. We came all the way home. So we're in a bus for probably freaking 24 straight hours. We drove right to the stadium. The game started in like 20 minutes. I remember we got out of the stadium. They didn't like cancel the game or anything. They gave us pizza quick. I remember looking out there, my first at bat, I couldn't even see. I saw like 6 balls coming in at one time. And I was like, it was one of those things where it's like, just hit the one in the middle. Okay, hit the one in the middle. And I remember I smashed the ball to left field and got a single. And I don't know how I hit it. I literally just swung at one of the 6 balls and I happened to pick the right one. Maybe that was my problem. Maybe the rest of my career, I should have just like voluntarily, taken 24-hour bus rides and maybe that would have helped my hitting. I'm not sure. But I actually hit somewhat well that game, but I felt horrific. So those are how bus rides went. And then once you get to AAA, you're like, okay, now we can fly. Well, being in the PCL, the Pacific Coast League, and AAA was one of the worst experiences ever because you have to fly on the first flight every day. So you take like a 6 a.m. flight. So your game ends at 10. You get back to your hotel at like 12 or something like that, midnight. You can't fall asleep because you just played a game. A lot of times I wouldn't go to sleep. You just stay up. But if you do fall asleep, you might get an hour of sleep. If the bus left at 6, you'd have to be at the airport, let's say at 5. You'd have to get to the stadium because you would take a bus from the stadium. That usually left at like 4 or 4:30. So you have to get up and get ready. You have to get packed and all that stuff. And you have to get to your bus to then go to the airport, to then jump on your plane. You never flew direct. So you'd always have a connecting flight. So you'd get on the plane, you'd fly from 6 a.m. until, I don't know, let's say 8 or 9, depending on where you were going. Then you get off the plane. You have to go to your connecting flight. You have to wait there. You have to get back on the plane. You have to fly to Omaha or New Orleans or wherever you're playing at. You get off the plane. You'd go to the hotel and drop all your stuff off. You get on the bus. You'd go over to the game and you'd be ready to play. And you did that. And then 4 days later, you do the same damn thing. There were so many games in AAA, same thing. You look out at the pitcher, you're like, it was not, and you might think I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, when you'd be like ready to hit and you'd be like, you ever driven somewhere like overnight and your eyes start to close and you have like, I'm driving. I literally, I'm hitting. Holy crap. Open your eyes. Like that would happen all the time in AAA. The minor leagues felt like it was like, okay, how tough can we make this on players to see who survives and who doesn't? We're going to weed out anyone that can't survive this lifestyle. And again, that might be a strategy, and some people might say that's a good strategy. My strategy, I would always think like, why are we beating the hell out of these guys so bad? This is not good for their sleep, not good for their health, for their immune system. It's not good for their bodies. It's not good for their mental state. It's not good for anything. And we're trying to develop them. So maybe we should try to give them some better living conditions, some better travel conditions, some better food, so that we can make them the best player that they can be, so we can get them to the major leagues as fast as possible and help our team and our organization. And in the end, it's a business and it's going to help our business. So I don't know, call me crazy. So again, another video, we could probably keep going, but those are the things that come to mind that I think are the biggest difference from the minor leagues to the major leagues. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, give a thumbs up, all that good stuff, and we'll talk to you later.
If you've got hitters that you're looking to improve before the start of next season, this is essential for you. Matt Antonelli here, former major league player, first-round pick, and college coach. With this course, we're going to show you exactly, step-by-step, how to generate power, develop bat speed, and enhance swing mechanics. Regardless of your hitter's age, this course is going to deliver advanced hitting techniques that will allow any hitter to get better and make an impact at the plate this spring. We have a full catalog of training content that you can access from anywhere at any time. This course is perfect for players, parents, coaches, instructors, and more. Our course has helped hitters all over the country at different competition levels, and the feedback that we've received has been outstanding. The work you put in now will drive your success at the plate this spring. Get the essential knowledge that you need to take your game to the next level.